Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And, today's episode is kind of how to deal with toxic people, but also how to understand psychology and, in a strange way, from an occult perspective. So, occult means hidden, but it also has a strong reference to Western mystery school tradition, which is Kabbalah. And so, if you've ever taken Kabbalah, you can use the Tree of Life to use as a template to create a pattern to understand things. So, patterns. So, yeah, this is kind of like wizard psychology. Um, and it's very useful. Uh, and you can create your own roadmaps. They don't have to be traditional, like a standard system like the Kabbalah. So, once upon a time, I went through a mystery school. I studied for 3 years, graduated the ranks, and the headmistress said, "Would you like to take over the school? I'm getting older. I don't want to deal with the bullshit." I looked out into the class and said no, because so many of the people in class were people who've come out of religious systems. So they're tied up into hope and faith and spiritual bypassing through a magical spell or a technique or some type of ecstatic ecstasy state, uh, hoping to bypass the practical work. And magic, especially Western mystery style magic, requires uh, a little bit of self reflection, a little bit of psychology, a whole bunch of work. Uh, you know, so I was like, no way. And she's like, well, you can start your own school if you'd like. It just has to be like 500 miles away from this school and like all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think I'm mature enough to deal with everyone coming to class with all the baggage. And through the course of my life, being 19 and being a psychic and doing card readings on my own and being successful at it, you realize a lot of people coming to your table don't need a psychic reading. What they need is counseling. Not exactly a therapist, but they need counseling, they need a life coach, they need a mom, they need a dad. And so you can't fulfill all those functions. So then I decided to go get certified in yoga, and I became a yoga instructor. And while I was a yoga instructor, I could see and feel with my psychic ability so much stuff going on inside of people when they would try to do a yoga pose. Uh, I'd see, and it was like, once again, this is too much. A lot of people have baggage, and so I think I have been trying to escape uh, helping people because in Western society, uh, I would say there's this expectation. We put the weight of the responsibility on the teacher when really it's on the student. We put the weight and the responsibility on the doctor when really there's a lot of responsibility that goes towards that the patient needs to take up. So same with I found working in every industry. And so, woke and broke kind of is a thing. But it's like, no, how come there's other people uh very successful in the spiritual field and I'm not? What is this missing link? So that was like, a side note. Uh and then why do I feel so triggered about other people being successful? Other people seeing life through a different view. How come their spiritual view is different than mine? You know? And so that was there. So welcome to my channel, welcome to this video. You're experiencing me and my journey. Uh, and it's just so complex. We are all very complex, interesting people, but we kind of needed a little background to give you the context of what I'm presenting. So recently in my job, a lot of employees come and go in the retail industry. Just some little retail clothing shop in the mall. And I always find it interesting because, before that it was a grocery store, and before that it was the coffee shop. So I've worked retail in various forms kind of all my life. As I sit back and get lost in all this, but a reoccurring thing was happening. It starts off with gossip, then drama, then taking things personal, then maybe someone getting fired, or, a threat of a loss of a job, and everyone being pissed off, and you're the bad guy. And you might be the voice of truth. You might be the voice of reason, but people don't want to listen. People don't want to solve the problems. And then all of a sudden, you're enmeshed into their drama. So that's kind of what happened at the first coffee shop. You know, everything was good. And then we hired this person, and then all this drama started happening. Then everyone started pointing the fingers towards me after that person uh, didn't get the validation that they were seeking. So I didn't realize what a dangerous game I play, but I definitely have that trickster energy. And part of being a trickster, you set people up for tests. And I've always used trickster energy before that when I was, playing in the realms of shamanism. And so I would trick my apprentice into doing very difficult things by telling him it was easy. And they would actually achieve it because instead of starting a project and thinking it was hard, they started the project thinking it was easy. So then they accomplished it and they got farther in their training than they would have. So I could see the obstacle. I would kind of remove the obstacle by telling them it was easy. And then they wouldn't have the obstacle. So this would be the positive use of trickster energy. It can be manipulative. It's like, so another way I use trickster energy is I tell myself this really hard. So when I wanted to become really good at swimming, it was really difficult. So I tricked myself by lying to myself. I said, "Oh, you love swimming. Oh, you love going every day. You're an athlete. You're so good at this." And then I imagined you're like a college level swimmer. You go every day before class and you love this. And this is your life and you don't know any different. And isn't it so great? And you always feel better, after a good swim. I would tell myself this until I actually accomplished it. Then I got burnout after doing that. And so I find I'm always experimenting and flirting with life. This is a way to be open minded and creative and turning life into play. So, this would be the positive use of trickster energy. It's not setting people up to experience negative experiences. It's either setting myself up or an apprentice up to achieve things that probably would have been a lot harder with those psychological barriers. So, moving in to this situation, this video that I'm hoping to get to, which is seeing your blind spot, seeing other people's blind spots, understanding being triggered, and why a lot of people have a lot of energy or emotions on something. why people take things so personally, why it's so scary, why there's such a need and a drive. And the chakra system is the perfect basic system to understand ascending, which we all must do. So I'm going to just put it out there. As spiritual bypassing is believing in a God, believing in angels, believing in guides, believing in magical spells, believing in future predictions, and magical assisting aids like herbs and stones and things like that to help you, to actually do for you. When you think these things are going to do it for you, like a miracle, like getting a golden ticket that you don't deserve, but you're going to put all your efforts into getting that ticket, that is spiritual bypassing. You're not spiritual bypassing if you're using these things to help yourself level up, but you know the responsibility is yours. You're going to earn that golden ticket. You're going to take every single step. You're going to put in the practice. You're going to do the work, right? That is not spiritual path bypassing. That is the actual real work. And you can apply this to something very mundane and practical, like swimming. Like maybe you have that same goal, or working out, which is my new goal. And then, my next goal will be financial health, financial freedom, stop throwing myself under the bus, stop gaslighting myself. So self reflection becomes really important, but you also got to crystallize it and ground it into a practical working system that you can apply to make real progress every day. And so it's never just an individual experience. We have the so called other, and we have a group of people, and we have a community. We have coworkers, family, friends, these circles, and then state, country, and globe. And we live in a collective. And you can look at it like a mirror. The world is a mirror, but you are a mirror of the whole world. So a lot of your personal issues, a lot of the stuff you're grappling with, isn't yours exactly. It's part of being in a pattern. So the first step out of chaos, the first step out of personalization, the first step out of lower emotions and ego and trauma bonding, these first steps is, for me, seeing it as a pattern, seeing it as a roadmap, kind of objectifying, turning thoughts and feelings into pictures, which is what the human brain loves to do. We love to create symbols, we love to create pictures and images to represent things. So, shamans created roadmaps of the other universe, which could be, a lot of people think that is just our subconscious, super consciousness, and the mind. I would say there's not enough evidence to point to that exactly. When does, where do the outer and inner worlds meet? When do we travel so far out that we were going in? When do we go so far in that we're going out? This like nexus, this portal. Uh, who knows? And then I think with all of our systems, we kind of get egocentric. You know, my mind, humanity, our planet, our issues. A lot of our models are still very egocentric. Uh, so, but that's okay. So, what, and so we're kind of pulling at a whole bunch of different angles, but we're really trying to understand, how do we get along with others? How do we get along with ourselves? Um, and so the reality of it is you need to have an ascension experience. You need to experience yourself as a non-form being. That is easily achieved through meditation, through contemplation. Uh, that's easily achieved in a flow state, getting into your groove, finding your rhythm. So you might find it as an artist, you might find it listening to music and being swept away. Uh, and you kind of get moved into more of an abstract experience of self or no self, of reality. So you might go on a nature walk and get lost and merge with nature. This is an excellent way to stop thinking of yourself, the symbol of a human being, and you're starting to move into a bigger, more expanded experience of self. And you'll notice these lower drives turn off. So I think this is going to be a series of videos uh, because we have to take this in steps. And I'm also kind of sharing my journey. My journey was my mom was highly caught in the cycle of habits. And I wondered if she was a robot. Like, it didn't look like she was present in the moment and sharing her authentic self. It didn't look like she was in joy. It didn't look like she was spontaneously making intuitive decisions moment to moment. Like, I think I would like to wear this color today. I think I want to open up the windows and sing a song. This is very spontaneous, and kind of not planned. Instead, what I would see is a routine. Eating eating breakfast, reading the newspaper, or sometimes just in a trance, and then complaining, then making meal, complaining, doing some laundry. And none of this was excellent work either, by the way. As a child observing mom, I think you could do this better. Like, who am I, right? Just the divine. And then maybe watching a few episodes of something, then commenting about how watching television is bad, then taking a nap and cycling around and around and around and around. And it really wasn't the activities that were so important. It was just this like autonomic, habitual experience. I'm like, are you really there? So I would remember I would go to my room and close the door. And then I would be like, is there anything behind the door? If I open up the door, is there actually a hallway? And then I would go down the hall to see my mom in the kitchen. And then I would try to slowly approach and see if she was a robot. Would you just turn on? Do I have to talk to you to activate you? Where are you? What is going on? So I was exploring reality. I was exploring, are we really here? We assume that we assume there is whatever we expect on the other side of the wall, of the door, and maybe it's not true. And this is definitely what a young wizard would do. And so, yes, I've gone on the magical journey of shamanism, wizardry, psychism, spirituality, everything new age and beyond, you know? And I seem to come full circle with my last few meditations where I was just in a reality of complete abstract, nothing crystallized into a logical linear form. And I'm like, I get how to work and manipulate in the abstract to create these so-called miracles of change in accordance to my will to get desired outcomes. And you have to be open-minded. And so you can't be doing that in lower levels of consciousness, the linear brain thinking. It's designed for something different. So lower consciousness is designed to get your basic needs met in the structure of linear reality. Higher consciousness is designed to work in what some people call spiritual realms, astral realms. I'm just going to call it the abstract. And so the other thing is I've been looking for light switches, these little on and off switches inside of me. I'm like, is there like a switch that I could like turn off my thinking brain, and reach a no thought meditation? Is there a switch where I can turn on and off my emotions? I'm not good at compartmentalizing, and I definitely have emotions, but I think I spend most of my energy repressing them, like so many others, to just get by. And so these are some of the things going on. And then we go back into the chaos of reality. So at work, uh, my coworkers, I know I kind of have asked in various ways a little bit about their astrology. And I've always done that as a social thing to get to know people and introduce them, and introduce myself and my interests. But then I like to start analyzing, comparing, and watching and seeing how different signs interact with each other. And we tend to have a lot of water signs at work. And water signs actually like to talk. And water signs have problems with boundaries. And water signs have problems with seeing things clearly for what they are, because it goes through the emotional lens, which is directly tied to the body. So without water signs, we don't really, give birth to things. We don't really nurture things. We don't really, water signs in a weird way, I think, are the glue of humanity in a way. But every positive comes with a negative. And so what we get is a lot of misunderstandings, lots of drama, and it's easy to get swept away if you have 6 other empaths all in a room together, intuitive empaths. You start owning other people's stuff. So this is the same stuff that I see in spiritual groups. And so I'm like, can I not get away from this? I'm a triple water sign. I'm over water. So I want to come up for air, you know? And let's do this. Let's roll up our sleeves and solve problems. Let's look at things. Let's get real with ourselves. But how can we, when we're stuck in our emotional body, in our physical body, and our mental body? And then the most important element, the ghost in the room, the pain body. So I look at the pain body as a combination of your mental and emotional storehouse of energetic baggage. So you went through a whole bunch of painful experiences, but just generally, all the accumulated pain sits in your pain body. We call it a pain body, but it sits in your energy field, and it's tied to your lower chakras, actually. And so your chakras play a role in it, but then you could almost just think of there's a huge water balloon, and through your chakras there's these little tubes, and they're filling up that water balloon. Okay, so over personalization, taking everything so personally, it's all about me, this is how I feel, they're not considering my needs, I was so offended. Third chakra, and that goes into the pain body. About being considerate and the relationship dynamics, family, friends. I'm so worried about so and so and blah, 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 blah. And second chakra. And then really looking at feeling threatened. My needs aren't being met. Root chakra. I might lose my job. This is a financial loss for me. My health, everything physical, and that stress, root chakra. And so basically all of our life can be really lived through these lower three chakras. So how would they experience love? A root chakra person is going to experience that through sex, through gift giving, because they're acquiring material things, and specifically those things help them feel stabilized. Great, I can use this money to now get that new door with a lock. I feel appreciated, I feel honored, I feel loved, I feel satisfied. Now I can move into that new home or put in that new security system. There we go. you know but it's very complex. It's also tribal thinking. So I fit into the tribe, this like-mindedness, root chakra thinking, and all three lower chakras, it's like-minded thinking. So this happens in gossip circles when we all come to the same conclusion that we don't like Jenny. She's the bad one for the week. We're all going to talk shit on her, and then we're going to feel bad, and then we're going to cycle around and accept her back in because we're so good people, and then we're going to do another round with Joe. Tribal mind dynamics. And so it's violent. If it's being played out with the emotions and how we feel about it, I really felt like Jenny was black. Then we've incorporated that second chakra. But you could say all three are part tribal. I really want to stand out and be the leader of our tribe slash little employee team. So team dynamics, family dynamics, friend group dynamics, still all three lower chakras. And the more you identify with it, more the third chakra, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. So you see that we're collectively still living in those three lower chakras. And the majority kind of rules. Someone wants to beam up and live in their heart of non-duality. They want to beam up and live in their third eye, once again, non-duality. Go all the way up to the crown, infinite oneness, and immortality. They want to access God consciousness. It's not going to happen, and it's going to be difficult when everyone around you is living in their lower three chakras and not doing a good job of it. They're living on the dirty, the negative, the unevolved versions of those frequencies. So, do we ever escape these lower chakras? Are we supposed to? The answer is no. We're supposed to transmute and master them, which builds the foundation for healthy upper chakras. Now we can actually utilize them and transform the world. Once again, we'll go back to spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing wants to beam up to the fourth chakra, love and light, all inclusive, everything's cool. And we're going to ignore, not really work on the lower three chakras, and we're going to cast magic. We're going to talk to angels to have them try to create miracles in our lives when we're supposed to do it ourselves. Because God is within you. Salvation is within you. And this will be the foundation of the next video, going into understanding the blind spot, the pain body, and it's like smoke and mirrors of a reality. Doesn't have to be like that. So this is how to not take shit personal, but we had to kind of lay that foundation of there's a lot of dynamics going on. There's those three lower chakras, and we're going to opt to live more comfortably in the one that we know best for various situations and pretty much our whole life. So if you're always feeling like your needs aren't getting met, so you have high expectations and you feel resentment and it's all this feeling, second chakra. If you're having financial difficulties and health difficulties, and you feel like you don't fit in, you're an outsider, or you work, and it's not paying off, root chakra, you know? Uh, and you can see that, oh, I have all three of these, and they're playing out in different ways individually. So we all have the lower three chakras to work on. And what I really like, if you live in fear, if you live in anxiety, and if you take everything personal, like you're owning other people's stuff, and if you feel like you can't stand out, if you have a loss of joy and happiness in your life, that's third chakra. If you don't feel connected to the divine, that's the third chakra. If you don't see the God within you and your own majesty, your own greatness, third chakra. And so they build onto each other and they create healthy boundaries. So if you're under psychic and magical attack, if you find that you're absorbing other people's stuff, if you find like you're the target of groups, you need to work on these lower chakras. And so everything in this life, once you master these three lower chakras, puts you in a new position to truly enjoy, savor, and download the information from the upper chakras. You know? So if you're trying spiritual practices and they just don't stick, like you might be a theta healer, and for some reason your clairvoyance is turned off when you go into theta and you don't know why, or you're a Reiki practitioner and your energy is kind of off and on. If you're a psychic and your predictions are kind of off and on, or you just can't seem to stay connected to your higher self, your angels and your guides, it's the lower stuff that needs to be worked on. We don't need to feel bad about it because we now know we're in a collective experience of lower level chakra interactions. And most of it is coming from the pain body. So let's get into our next video. Now that we have the foundation, you can understand quickly how to navigate these uncomfortable social experiences through conversations, through working with people we don't like, to dealing with partners and exes and all that crap in a very logical, practical way. So you won't need crystals and sage all the time because, that kind of gets expensive. So, you can now really budget your spirituality, and you won't have to spend so much time self-soothing and going to a counselor and wasting your energy. And you'll be able to start enjoying life like right now. Like, wouldn't that be nice?